Hey guys, Spartan Jess here, and today we'll be taking an in-depth look into the Duffer Design's Advanced Weapon Management System, or for short, the AWMS Smart Scope. Let's get right into it, shall we?
Now I do want to stress that this version in this video is actually the prototype version that Duffer Designs has sent me. Duffer Designs mainly had the idea to create this from one of their favorite games that they like to play, Titanfall, which has a big use of smart scoping with an ammo counter. Right here is the sensor that you'll be putting at the end of your barrel, so your ammo counting function will be able to count down when BBs pass through the barrel. Right here is the reset button, so let's say whenever your ammo counts down to 0, you press this button and it resets the numbers back to normal. And here, this is the power cord that you'll be connecting your airsoft gun and your airsoft battery to. So the science behind this is the Duffer Design Smart Scope is supposed to house the internals of the Tachyon ammo counter board and screen. And basically, you have your screen at the bottom right here that displays on a reflector lens, which shows off your ammo counting functionality and all sorts of good stuff that comes with the Smart Scope. So if we take this off, you can see the board is right here, and the screen houses right down here. And if we push the wires, it's an easy way to take out the board and the screen out of the scope body. Over here you have the buttons that cycle through the settings, the brightness, and how to turn on your scope. Basically, this is what turns on your smart scope. This button allows you to go up in the settings, and it also increases your brightness. The middle button allows you to select between your preset options, and if you hold it, it allows access to customizable settings. And down here is basically your down button, and this will also decrease the brightness of your ammo counting screen. These clips right here basically makes it simple to attach the smart scope onto the top rail of whatever airsoft gun you're going to be placing this on top of. So here I have my APS UAR. So if we were wanting to attach this onto our airsoft gun, basically place this on the side like that, snap it on, and once your scope is attached, basically clip these on, and your smart scope isn't going anywhere. Now without further ado, let's connect our battery to the smart scope and turn it on. Now let's take a look at what the heads-up display looks like. I'm going to turn off the lights so it'll be a lot easier for the screen to see. So now we'll be going over all the individual customizable settings that this smart scope has to offer. Right here, this is the heads-up display screen itself. Up top, you have your crosshair. Right under the crosshair, you have the ammo count for the ammo in your magazine. And under the ammo count is the ammo bar, which will basically shrink or do other options based off your customization. So for instance, when BBs go down the barrel, that ammo bar will shrink. At the bottom left, you have your compass. In the middle, that shows what number preset option you have for your ammo counting function. At the bottom right, that's your battery life detector. So if you hold down the middle button, this will take you to the first page of the settings that's provided with this ammo counter. So let's go to Manage Presets. So the presets are the different options that you can select for the amount of ammo under your crosshair. And I believe the highest number that you could count up to is 10,000. Let's go to preset number 1. As you can tell, it says edit value 30. If we go to preset number 2, it shows 350. So if you want to switch between your preset number options, so you click the middle button and you click up or down to cycle through your preset options. So let it go right there to preset number 2. As you can see, the ammo counting numbers under the crosshair changed to the customized setting chosen for this preset. Now if we go down to select reticle, right here you get to choose out of 11 different options for your crosshairs. So that's your first option right there, and I'll cycle through the rest. Now to the fun stuff, the UI settings. Right here is just to rotate your UI 90 degrees, pretty self-explanatory. Base UI color. So if we click that, right now as you can see it's set to green. So whenever you go up or down on the edit value, that determines the intensity of the color. So for instance, if I turn the edit value of green all the way down, but I increase blue, let's go back to the menu, see what it looks like. Now you change your outline color. But the cool thing is you can mix and match colors. Moving on, we're going to go to the background color. So instead of having a pitch black screen in the background, let's say we want blue. Turn that up a little bit. And at the bottom, you can see what the color will look like. So whenever you back out of this menu, boom, the background is blue. Now these three options right here might sound a little confusing at first, but
It's actually fairly easy to understand. So these three colors, good, warning, and critical, are basically the colors that change your ammo counting numbers and the ammo counting bar. So whenever your ammo capacity is shrinking and getting lower, the colors will transition from good to warning and then warning to critical. So I'm going to try to activate the sensor real quick and watch the numbers go down. So right now we are at good. And now it just changed to warning, which is a yellow color. Now if we go even further, it goes to critical, which is red. And once you reach the 0 or under 0, your ammo bar will start to flash. Now back to the UI settings, all the way at the bottom we see the bar style. So basically this will customize how it's going to function and how it's going to look. So for instance, if we choose solid, you can see that only half of the ammo bar is showing. So that's it for the UI settings. Now let's move on through the rest of the settings. Right here is measure delay. So you get to measure what the rate of fire of your airsoft gun is doing. So here you get to determine what level of brightness your screen will be whenever you power on the ammo counter. Battery types. Now this is pretty important. And you click which type of battery your airsoft gun and your smart scope is running off of. Right now the scope is being powered by a nickel metal 9.6 volt battery, but right now I have voltage readout. So it tells me exactly what voltage is in the battery right now. So you can see at the bottom right, it says 10.3. Well, that's how many volts are in my battery right now. But if we go to the nickel metal option, and now it shows only 87% battery life at the bottom right. Now if we move on to the next page of the settings, we have the option to turn on ammo bar flash. Select button reload. So from my understanding, I don't know if I'm entirely sure about this, but I'm guessing whenever your ammo counts down all the way to 0, if you press any button, so let's say maybe the middle button or the up and down button, it basically resets your ammo counter back to its preset setting. At least whenever I tried it, it did that. So this option right here is a really important one if you want to have any use for your compass. And what you have to do is do an entire 360 turnaround with your scope in your hand, just so it'll calibrate the actual coordinates of the compass. Compass mode, this is where you get to select how your compass is going to be read at the bottom left of the UI screen. You can turn on bearing, cardinals, or combine. The rest of the options are basically factory reset selections and other minimal settings that we don't really need to get into.
So now that we've seen all the settings and the way this thing operates, let's head into some gameplay and see how this looks on the field.
Just got word from the UNSC. They warned me of hostile insurrectionist pets inbound to steal some ONI intelligence. These little rodents carry the hearts of their fallen enemies to intimidate anyone who opposes them. Unfortunately for them, their little scare tactics won't work on me. My job? Protect the intel at all costs. Good riddance.
Alright, so now that you guys seen some gameplay footage, we're going to be transitioning the scope onto my buddy Scar, which you guys know pretty well if you watch my channel.
Red Shirt's back again, not with a Halo gun this time, but with a VFC Scar that was built from parts. Call it the Franken Scar. It is finished in Cerakote with Gun Candy's chameleon color known as Viper over the surface that gives a gold to purple fading in the sunlight and in the shaded light as you move it around. Other than that, it's a pretty standard Scar H, save for the tactical monopod. So I think this thing looks great though with the Duffer Design Smart Scope added to it. We did have to modify the barrel, removing the traditional FN style flash suppressor to put on the sensor unit. But it looks great.
It does. And whenever you decide to get your own smart scope, you'll have to keep in mind of two things, which is the sensor wire and the battery wire. Now what we did is we wrapped the sensor wire down here around the barrel and in the crevice of this rail right here. And we also had to wrap around the wire around the barrel here, setting the sensor right there snugly in front of the barrel.
Do you have to make any mods to the other end?
Duffer Designs could take care of that for you if you have any questions, and depending on what kind of connectors you have, depending on the batteries that you use.
So you're able to specify the connectors as well as the wire length.
Indeed.
All right, outstanding. So why is the smart scope mounted so far forward on the gun?
So the reason for that is because we're going to be using this extra raised rail so we could put our GoPro over there to record some footage of this smart scope on your scar. And we also changed the color scheme to match your purple scar.
That's right. You've got a user interface that allows you to make a lot of changes, so it's set to purple to match the purple scar. I look forward to getting a GoPro on this thing and getting some footage of it.
Alrighty, let's get into it.
All right, ready. Yeah, I see that green light.
See your scar.
I don't like it. It hurt.
So what do I think about the smart scope created by Duffer Designs? Well, to put it short and sweet, I'm a pretty big fan of this. Let's go over some of the cons first so we could get those out of the way, and then we could get into a lot of the pros that are included with this heads-up display scope. So not necessarily a big problem, but whenever you're going to be attaching the scope onto your airsoft gun, you're going to have to get creative whenever it comes to concealing your wires onto your gun. So basically you're going to have to hide the battery cord. And what I do with the sensor cords, I basically just wrap the cord around my barrel of my airsoft gun, and it actually looks pretty neat there. Another thing that you have to keep in mind whenever it comes to customizing the colors of your heads-up display, it basically depends on what areas that you airsoft in. So basically, if you're airsofting in a super green and grassy environment, if you're going to be choosing a color like green and black, it's hard to see the numbers sometimes. More dominant colors, however, are super easy to look at and notice. Strong colors like purple and blue. I find it way easier to navigate through the settings of the smart scope by pulling this part out and basically pulling your screen and your board out, instead of just putting your head against the scope and cycling through the settings that way. So now let's get into the good stuff. The good stuff is, well, it's a freaking smart scope for airsoft. I mean, what can you what can you really complain about? I love the vast amount of settings that you can customize whenever it comes to changing up the way you want your heads-up display to look. I love that it has ammo counting, compass functionality, it displays the battery life of your battery, and also the way that you can cycle through your preset settings is a really nice feature as well. Whenever I was on the field using this smart scope, I did find myself managing my ammo way more than I did before. I actually found myself using the top crosshairs on the smart scope occasionally whenever I had to take my eyes off of the screen in a super quick situation that I had to deal with. And also I wanted to check if the heads-up display is super noticeable and visible from the opposite perspective of the person that's taking fire from the airsoft gun that this smart scope is attached to. And real honestly, you can't really notice it, which is a really good thing for having yourself concealed on the airsoft battlefield. Now, I also want to mention, if you guys have a different kind of connector that goes to your battery or your gun, you can always get Duffer Designs to get you a different kind of connection for your smart scope. If you'd like to get more information about the AWMS smart scope, make sure to join Duffer Designs Discord group that he made specifically for distributing information and also selling these smart scopes to people that are interested.
I hope you guys enjoyed this walkthrough of the AWMS Smart Scope. I would like to thank Duffer Designs for letting me review this product before its official release date. And as usual, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget, this is truly Combat of All. I'll see you next time.
Alright, so now that you guys seen some gameplay footage with
This Frankenstar is...
Yeah, we both kind of messed up.
Oh, it's him.